Buddy. Okay, welcome everybody into our Trader Nerds room, and we have Caleb with us from Thinkorswim, and he's going to try to navigate us around the platform. And if anyone's got any questions or anything, I don't think he can hear you, but based on how we've got this set up. But if you'll type your question in the little thing there, we'll get it in. All right, so I guess we'll turn it over to you, Caleb. Show us what we need to know on this platform.
Yeah, I mean, so generally how we do this. If you had any specific questions that you were looking to get covered, essentially this time is customized to whatever you'd like to go through today. So do you have any questions on like maybe order management or order entry?
Well, let me show you how
capabilities on Thinkorswim.
Since you can see my screen now, let me just show you how I've got it set up. And someone showed me this, and this was the coolest thing. So I like it that I can, without showing groups, we don't like seeing our T-bills messing up our deltas and our theta and all that kind of stuff. So I've got this particular view here where I can tell my deltas and my theta and my, all kinds of stuff on my options, which are separate than my T-bills. So I like that a lot. Then when we go into the grouping, I'll show you the grouping. I like the ability to put them into groups. We've got T-bills down here, put debit spreads. We got our naked puts, our put credit spreads. So we've got, a lot of different things there. Now, I'll say this, if there's something that you see that I've got that needs, you say would be cleaner for me, that would be cool. But I think we've got the order entries and all this kind of stuff pretty good.
Great. Yeah. Position grouping is definitely a very convenient feature on Thinkorswim. Any kind of questions on like the charting feature or different ways to navigate around the charts?
Let's go to the Analyze tab because we spend a lot of time on the Analyze tab. And let me show you what we kind of do. We set up our price slices like this, and you tell me if I'm doing this right. We set up our price slices up 5, up 10, up 15, down 5, down 12, and down 20. And I think you guys measure risk at 10% up and 12% down, right? That's where you guys kind of.
Yeah. Our default is 10 up, 10 down.
Oh, it's 10 up, 10 down, not 12 down.
Yeah.
No, not sure why I thought it was 10 down. But anyway, I set mine to 12 for some reason. 10 up, 10 down. Okay, that's good.
That's the default. Yeah.
Okay, that's the default. And then one of the things that we do, let's see, show all, let me hide simulations and single symbol, and it's MES. And so one of the things that we do is we like to see how bad we're going to be hurt in the event that we've got vol expansion, since we're option sellers. And so what we do is I go down to about this 20% level and go, oh my God, if it was the worst of the worst, what happens? And normally I'll sit here and I'll bump that up to 10. And you see these numbers here, Caleb? I kind of use them as a estimation of maybe what VIX would be, right? I mean, so right now we're at a 14 or 15 VIX, right? 25, 35, 45, 55 if it went up 10%. And so I'm kind of sitting here going, okay, in this account, if we had a 20% drop, God forbid, then and VIX went up to like 45 or 55, I'd be down 114 to $130,000. I just want to make sure that we're looking at that, right.
Yeah, that is correct. That's so down here at the bottom on your positions and simulated trades, it's taking an aggregation of all of the trades you have in on MES down at the bottom there. So it's taking all your short and long positions. I don't know exactly what you're holding. But yeah, so this right here is the underlying price of MES. So this is saying if MES were to drop to 36.29, your account would be affected by that amount there, depending on the vol rates over here.
And am I pretty good at saying that those rates, the percentages on the left would be an approximation of what VIX would be? I mean, it always seems that it would because, we're currently at around a 15 VIX, right?
Yes.
Particularly because we're in an S&P 500 product with the micro E-minis, you know.
Yes. Yep. So it's just a tenth of it.
Mhm.
That's right.
Good. And then, you know, sometimes I'll change this to SPY, or I'll change it to SPX or the E-minis, and we'll look at things that way. But, you know, then we'll go, let's say portfolio beta weighted. Now, here's the thing that's a pain in the butt is when you do portfolio beta weighted, we have to come down here and take all of our T-bills out because our T-bills mess up our little metrics here. Let me show you. Unclick all of those. Now that should
Not really a good way to kind of circumnavigate that outside of just manually unselecting them.
Okay. Now let me ask you this. Let's talk about something. Anybody else got something on the Analyze tab that you'd like to ask Caleb? And y'all can welcome to talk, and I'll pass on, you know, whatever you say if he can't hear you. I'm not sure that he can or can.
I don't think I can.
Nobody's talking yet. Is Ed here? Darn, Ed, say something, Ed, so we can see if we can hear you.
Hey.
Did you hear Ed?
I did not. No,
You did not.
I can only hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, he can only hear us. So if y'all want to talk, you can, and I'll pass the information along to Caleb. One thing that I do constantly is I'll go to the help tab and system, and I'll collect my garbage. Now, I remember one thing that you guys did, like now that I've got a super duper computer, this thing runs really clean. But I remember one time I called you guys and said, look, this monster of a platform is running slow. And the people at Thinkorswim told me, well, you got to change your setup when you open in your, you know, when you first sign in, you got to go in and change your setup to a different setting or something to get it at max speed. And I don't remember that. Can you elaborate on that at all? Or is that a whole different department?
So I can, but it does depend on each individual case. So it's like a case by case situation, depending on the specifications of the computer itself and what operating system it's running on, Windows versus Mac. So this is not just like a blanket kind of approach, but essentially, so what you're referring to, Bobby, is the memory settings on Thinkorswim, and those are accessed within the login screen down on the, like where you type in your user ID and password, there's going to be a cog wheel. Down there, you'll click on the cog wheel. That's going to take you to a section that allows you to access the memory usage settings.
Well, let me ask you this,
So
Caleb.
is
there a way that you could look at mine and make sure I'm maximized for whatever my system is?
Yeah, I'll get into that. So it depends on the amount of RAM that you have installed on your computer. Okay, so what I would encourage everybody to do, I'm happy to take a look at yours individually today, but what I would recommend everybody to do is if you have any questions on that, give our trade desk a call and get over to the tech support team, and they can do an evaluation on that. Make sure that Thinkorswim is set up optimally for the computer that they're running on.
No, that would be great.
But for you,
can we log out?
So that would be just given the, yeah, sure.
Let me log out and we'll log back on. And this is cool, y'all. So this is something that a lot of you may have not known, and I didn't know until they optimized mine at one point, but I've not done it on this computer. So here we are installing updates and doing everything that we're needing to do. And so I won't do anything until you tell me to. So hopefully this will be quick. Installing it. Okay, here we are. So what do I do?
So you're looking at the login screen, right?
And I got a little
hit
cog
the gear wheel down in the bottom left corner.
Yep. Okay.
So that is going to take you to a separate screen that you're going to be looking at a memory usage settings area.
And it says I'm using memory usage 32, and then over the right it's got 1792.
Okay. So again, little disclaimer: this is a case by case issue. This is not something that's a blanket approach for everybody. So Bobby, your computer has 16 gigs of RAM. So the memory usage settings are all based on the RAM usage of the computer itself.
Okay.
So with 16 gigs of RAM, I would recommend your left-hand side be set to 1024.
1024.
So on that left-hand, Yep. And you can just manually type in these values. You don't have to use the
Okay.
drop downs.
Okay.
And then on the right hand side, you're going to do 4096.
Now, how did you know how much RAM my computer has? You could see that or something by me running.
We can see just very minimal information from our side. So I can see the amount of RAM you have and then whether or not you're running Windows or Mac. That's it.
Now, by us changing these settings, what should this do for me? Since I was at 32 and 1,000 something, now we're changing this. What will this do since we made this change?
Yep. So it's just making sure that Thinkorswim has enough RAM to access on the back end to, complete whatever task you're throwing at it. So that whether or not you have a ton of charts expanded at one time, or you're really, cranking the system on the scan tab, or rather the analyze tab with a bunch of calculations, just making sure Thinkorswim has enough resources to complete whatever task you're throwing at it.
Okay. Okay. Great.
Okay.
So I hit the save button
got both
now?
of those values in there.
Yep. And now I can save it. Okay. Save. And then go ahead and log in, or?
Yeah. Once it'll install updates again, and then you'll click login, and then go ahead and type in your values.
Well, I haven't had much complaints about the platform running, but hopefully this makes it even better, right? That's the goal, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll double check one other thing once you get in there, just to make sure that it's set up correctly also.
Okay, so I'm gonna log in. Okay, we're logged in, and it's opening. Okay, we are open.
Okay. All right. So then one thing for you to check is in the top right corner, hit setup.
Okay.
And then go to application settings.
Application settings. Got it.
And then hit system.
System. Okay.
And there should be a section in there that says quote speed. That needs to be set to real-time no delay.
Oh, look, I was set to fast max delay. So now we're real-time no delay. Okay.
Yep. So that's going to impact all of your watch list quotes updating. So anytime a quote's coming in, they're going to be, displayed right away on the watch list itself.
Okay. Great. And I
apply settings down at the bottom.
Now, do I need to save my workspace, or is that something that it'll automatically keep every time? Do I need to resave my workspace?
Yeah, it'll retain that same there.
Okay.
As long as you don't change it.
Okay. Good.
One other thing that is definitely something some clients overlook is, so without getting too technical, Thinkorswim is a Java-based application. So it really benefits, from being shut down every single day. So say in the evening, you're done using Thinkorswim, hit the red X, whether or not it's in the right corner if you're Windows or left corner if you're using Mac, log out, just close down Thinkorswim. And then the next day when you're ready to use Thinkorswim, start it back up fresh. Try never to leave Thinkorswim running more than 1 day at a time.
And I'm guilty of that. I will leave it going for weeks at a time. I'm guilty of that.
Yeah. So definitely best practice when you're done using Thinkorswim for the day, manually log out. Next day when you're ready to use it again, pull it back up and start using it fresh again. So that's just the best way to make sure that the system is performing optimally and there's avoiding any kind of performance issues.
Okay, good. Now, one thing that I've noticed, and that's probably will solve this, but there are times when the charts will become very jumpy.
Let me jump back in with you.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I think when you logged out, I got kicked out. You're good.
So there are times when the charts become jumpy, right? They'll start jumping and flickering and everything. And so to fix it, I'll have to go and change the time frame of whatever, it was that I was looking at, and it'll stop jumping. And I guess that's probably a result of me leaving it on as well, right?
Yeah, so definitely very well could be from extended session for sure.
Okay.
It could be, a corrupted grid. It could be a few different things, but, just the easiest thing to eliminate would be to just make sure that the session's not running for an extended period of time. And if you're continuing to see that issue, give the trade desk a call and the tech team can further take a look at that.
Okay, great. Let's see. We know how to share things with each other, everybody that's here, so we know how to do that. We know how to
Nice.
open multiple screens. So for example, I a lot of times have, a second screen that I can pull open, and I normally get that to open up. So yeah, anything else you guys need any help on, or something, Caleb, you think that we need to know?
One thing that I could potentially show you. So like, let's say you wanted to look at this chart on the left-hand side on full scale. So right now, obviously, we have two charts that are stacked side by side.
Yes.
Okay, so if you're ever, your screen's too tight, or you want to look at a full scale chart, on this left-hand one, Bobby, here, go ahead and right-click on this for me. And then go down to maximize cell.
No, look at that.
Okay, so what you just done is you obviously blown this chart up as just one single chart that you're looking at. But when you hit maximize cell, you gained access to these toggles over here. So then now you can use the left and right arrows to navigate back and forth between these two charts. That way, if you wanted to see them on a full scale, you just jump into this maximize cell window.
Oh, look at there. So I can flip between the two.
Yes. Yeah.
How cool is that?
And then if you ever wanted to get back to that original, stack side by side view, you just hit this back arrow right here, and it'll take you right back to where you were.
Very cool. Yeah, look at that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, I wanted to tell everybody, make sure that they know this, Caleb. This was really important. So some way, somehow, I lost all of my stuff, my whole setup. I mean, with my charts and with all of my stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know where it went. And I called you guys, and I'm like, oh man. And I'm like, is there any way to find it? And they said, no. And then they brought up something that was really important. And I want to make sure everybody knows this. They said, have you ever shared your setup with anybody? And I said, yes. And we were able to go into the history, I guess, of the share and pull it back up, thank God. But I don't know if you would talk to us about that. I don't know why I lost all of my stuff, but that's one thing I think that we fear. We've got all these little indicators and things, and like these things that people have created who are my friends and colleagues, like the AD line, this thing here. And we just want to make sure we never lose those things. So everybody needs to, number one, they need to save their what is it called? Their room, right? Their workspace. Save workspace. Yep. And I call it Bobby's main workspace. So talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. So depending on what type of item it is, determines whether or not it's going to be saved locally to the device itself, like for instance, Bobby's computer, or is it going to be saved to the server, meaning whatever computer you log in, if you're using that same user ID, those items are accessible no matter what. Okay, so like a workspace, for example, that is an item. So the workspace is going to be like the overall layout of the platform. So like any customizations to any of these columns running left to right on the monitor tab, how you have the gadget pane configured on the left-hand side, whether or not you have like, your charts detached, anything like that. So it's just the overall workspace of how you have Thinkorswim set up. So the workspace itself is saved to the computer that it's created on. So let's say you have a Windows computer and then a Mac computer. You saved everything on the Windows computer. You go to log into the Mac computer. That workspace is not going to be visible on the Mac without you going through the process of sharing it. So if you come up here, Bobby, to setup, and then drop this down, and then after, first and foremost, make sure you save the workspace, and then after the fact, you come in here to share workspace, and then you click on Bobby's main workspace. That's going to share that workspace with yourself. So then, like you mentioned, Bobby, if you run into an issue where your computer crashes or whatever happens, you can retrieve that workspace.
Great.
Okay, so then let's jump to the charts tab real quick. Okay, so for your inquiry, as far as like the grid layout, so you have two single charts that are stacked side by side. The chart setup, like the overall grid setup, is saved within these. So I think you have this one named ES0DTE.
Yes.
Okay, so you would come in here,
Mhm.
save grid as, and then once you save that, so items like the grid, watch list, chart layouts, if you save the style settings, all of those are going to be saved server side, meaning if my user ID was TDMetric1 and doesn't matter what computer I logged in on, if I still use that same user ID, those items are accessible on any computer that I log in on. So by default, those are kind of theoretically already shared. So you don't have to go through a separate process to save them to the server side unless you want to share it with a colleague of yours.
Okay.
Okay, so one thing I would definitely ensure is like if your style layouts on your each individual chart. You know, I can tell these are a little bit different on each. To save these so you never lose these, you would drop down the candlestick icon over here,
Okay.
kind of top left corner, and then we're going to go down to Save Style. And then check this box here. So it's important to check this box because that's going to include, you know, your volume bars down here, and it's going to include the actual, you know, any configuration on whatever changes you've made to that particular chart.
Mm-hmm.
So Bobby, I would save this as, you know, a name that you can tell that this is a particular setup on the left-hand chart.
Okay. Good.
Okay. So then now that one is saved server side. So then I would save this one separately also, but drop this down, go back through that same process, and I would name this something different than what you named the first one.
So save style, and we'll do this, and we'll call it Bobby's main 2 or something.
Perfect.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So let's say hypothetically you logged in one day and your charts are just completely set to default and you're like, I don't want to recreate them entirely from scratch. You can come down here, click on the candlestick icon again, go down to load style, and you'll see that particular configuration there, and you just load it up just like normal.
Beautiful. Now, isn't there a way? Oh, go ahead, Caleb.
No, I was going to say both of those are saved server side now, so you're good to go on any computer that you're using.
Okay. Now, isn't there a way, and I don't know what it is, isn't there a way that if I change the symbol here, that it'll change there or something? Let's see if it'll do it. So if I go to gold, and then it doesn't change here. So how would I?
Depends on the symbol linking.
Okay. So how do I do that?
So that depends on the symbol linking. So I think about these as like walkie-talkies. So back in the day when you had walkie-talkies, each walkie-talkie needs to be on the same channel in order to communicate, right? So in order, like if you wanted to pull up ES on, if you have a different time frame on this left chart in comparison to the right chart, because you have this left chart set to number 5, you would need the right chart to set number 5 as well.
Okay.
So it's just as simple as dropping that down, changing this to 5, and if you make a change on the chart on the left, it'll make a change on the right, and vice versa.
Look at that. That is cool. That is really cool. I like that. So it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's a big time saver.
It's the same thing with this one too. If I make this a 5, and then if I change this to gold, then I go back to the other ones, they should be gold. Look at that. Yes. Okay.
Yep. So if you don't want them to update like that, you just, you know, disconnect the link.
Okay.
So if you were looking to have, you know, separate symbols in each.
But
yeah, that's a pretty convenient feature. Yep, exactly.
Oh, I love that. Love that a lot. Okay, so
Yeah.
let me turn that back to ES. Yeah, because a lot of times when I open this thing, this is on MES because that's the last thing I traded, and I don't want it to be. I like this chart to always stay on ES. And then if I go and if I go trade, what's this? Trade. And if I'm going to trade MES, I see what you're saying, unlink it. So I'll unlink MES. MES. I don't want it changing my chart here. Good. Okay, good. I just unlinked it. Good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
wonderful. That was helpful to know. Jose said it remains the Uber platform. Sosnoff did a dandy job before he sold it. He did indeed. He did indeed.
Absolutely.
It's a great platform. Any word on just
Absolutely.
making sure our friends at Schwab are not changing anything? They're going to keep it and support it and keep this thing going, right?
That's right. Yep. Thinkorswim is here to remain. No changes there, only improvements. So
Good.
that's relieving.
Now, I don't know if you can take any suggestions or not for things that need to be changed, but that would be helpful.
Yeah, if you guys have any feedback, what I would recommend is you can chat in via the support up here.
Mhm.
Once you hit create request, you're going to get a real time, you're getting a human, and then just kick that feedback suggestion to them, and then we have an internal process for that.
Okay, good. Good. Yeah, I was just going to say some of the orders that we put in will quote in nickels when it'll only supposed to quote in quarters. And so a lot of times if I'm putting the order in at a nickel, whatever, it rejects the order because it's not the right, it's supposed to be in quarter increments.
Increment.
Yeah. And I'm
Right.
like, oh, I got to
Yeah, so we
remember that
have-
it's quarter increments instead of,
Yeah, so generally anything that's above $1, you shouldn't have that issue. So we have a back end process that runs to check and make sure all of those increments are correct. Sometimes something that's like bouncing back and forth between, just under $1 and $1, the system can't catch it fast enough. So then, we have to do a manual process on that. So we are looking to make that a little bit more streamlined, but that is a good feedback item.
yeah, I mean, it's not much, but it's just like some orders I got to remember in quarters. And, when I'm hitting to change the price on the platform, it doesn't do it automatically in quarters. It just does it in nickels, and it kind of makes it, a little wonky. All right. Anyone else got a question on anything about how to do anything on the platform that you want Caleb to show? Give everybody a second to type in a question.
Bobby, I'm on my phone and I know
Hey,
you
Ed.
can't hear me. Can you just pass this question on?
Sure,
So
I'll
I
pass it
moved
on.
my main account to Schwab last week,
Mhm.
and it was actually week before last. They have
Okay.
much better T-bill pricing. So for what I'm doing, it mattered on every tranche of T-bills I was doing. But I was under the impression that they had already rolled Thinkorswim out there and they were like testing it with some of their clients, and then they were moving us over, but they haven't rolled it out at all to anyone. And I'm just wondering if this guy has any kind of feel for when they're going to actually start rolling it out there.
Yeah, so Ed said, Caleb, that he has rolled his money from another broker into Schwab, right? He didn't do it through the TD Ameritrade or anything. He did it through Schwab. And he was of the impression that when he was with Schwab, that he would be able to go ahead and use the Thinkorswim platform. But apparently they're telling him, I think, that it may be like spring of 2024 before that rolls out with Schwab. Do you have any updates on that or?
Yeah, so it is kind of an ever-evolving target. So right now it's between, somewhere around the end of the year, start of next year, that all Schwab clients are going to get access to Thinkorswim. So that's really all the information I know as well. So it's just based on, some technology deadlines that they're trying to accomplish. But yeah, so towards the end of this year, start of next year.
Okay. All right, good. Anyone else got something for Caleb at all? Caleb, you got anything to leave us with before you go?
I guess the only other thing I would say is if you guys have any questions at all, we have a fantastic support system. So feel free to get a hold of us via chat. Like I was telling Bobby, up in that top right corner via support chat, create support requests. You're going to get a real-time human, 24/7 almost. They can help out if you prefer to give us a call. We have, people on hold pretty much waiting all day long to assist. So feel free to reach out with any kind of questions. Also, another thing that you guys take advantage of is that education tab up there. Education main tab and then education sub tab. There are a ton of resources in there for like self-directed education if you guys are looking to go that route. But yeah, definitely a lot of resources in there for you guys to utilize.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I never really clicked on that much. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Caleb, thanks for coming on with us. We appreciate it so much. Okay.
Yeah, no problem, Bobby. So if you have any other questions, feel free to get a hold of me. I'm happy to help out. All right.
Wonderful. All right. Thanks everybody for joining us, and thanks for Caleb for joining us today. Y'all be good. I will see y'all tomorrow.